Hey, good morning. It's Saturday, August 29th. So it's able to be outside this morning. Got a little bit of clouds, a little bit of wind, but I actually kind of like that. And don't worry, if you think you missed the video last night, you didn't. Just wasn't able to do one last night, so you didn't miss it. It's just, we'll start catching up today. This morning, I want to read and think a little bit from Psalm 2 and how it describes. This is one of the Psalms we can go to find worldview. So this is how it describes worldview for us. And if you have any concerns or thoughts or confusion about what's going on in the world in general, in our country in particular right now, Psalm 2 speaks specifically to this situation. I'm going to read from Dale Ralph Davis's translation, so it may seem a little bit different, but again, it's accurate and it's really helpful and it's fresh. Why do the nations rage? And why do peoples keep plotting hopeless plans? Why do the kings of earth take their stand? And why do the rulers conspire together against Yahweh and his anointed king? These words might sound familiar to you if you read the book of Acts and you see Peter quoting this section to describe the upset of the rulers in the temple. People still tried to overcome Christianity and the impact that Jesus made even after his death and resurrection. But you see this question here that's asked, that David asked: why do the nations rage? Why are the kings so upset? And then verse 3 has this little comment here. This is what they're saying. Let us rip off their fetters. Let us throw off their cords. He's talking about the rule of Yahweh and his anointed king, Jesus. So what is God's response to all this mayhem and this anger and this upset, this vitriol, the shaking of the fist, the anger that the world has around us? People thinking they can live lives their own way without regard to who God is. Political leaders who openly mock God with their laws and their ability to redefine what life is, to redefine marriage, to redefine history. How does God respond to that? The show of force in terms of military powers, in terms of might, in terms of anger, unrest, riots. People in universities shouting that in very sophisticated ways that God is not God. How does God respond to that? The one who sits in heaven laughs. The Lord mocks at them. And then he speaks to them in his wrath. Yes, he terrifies them in his hot anger. But I have installed my king on Zion, on my holy hill, referring to what he's established in Christ. Zion was a fairly insignificant piece of real estate that God claimed for himself and constructed the holy city there, the one that endures throughout all the heavens and the earth. See, this dramatic picture that we have here is one of people being angry at God. And so they're not really being angry at people and things, they're being angry at God. They don't like being constrained. Man doesn't like being constrained by the hand of God. So throughout all of human history, we need to look at Psalm 2 to describe human history for us. There has been this battle of man, of people wanting to make their way count and ignore God. So there have been vast kingdoms, there have been vast rulers, there have been atrocities, there have been displays of power, all of these things. And God is not fazed in the least. He is not impressed. And his wrath can be unleashed in a heartbeat. What happened with Hurricane Laura is just a tiny demonstration of the power that God could unleash. God is in control, and this psalm tells us that. And tonight I'm going to do the second half of Psalm 2, so we finish out what is the whole picture of the psalm. But this morning, I just want to keep our focus on one thing. People think they're controlling things, but things are not out of control. God is not missing anything, and his wrath will be displayed. God cannot be mocked, and God's response to the anger and tyranny of man, he laughs, and he in turn mocks them. But even in these harsh words of God's response, there is still the hope of the gospel taught here, because he has installed his king on his holy hill. And that alone is the one hope for redemption, for peace, for justice, for life, security, and most importantly, grace. Because Christ reigns. And that's what Psalm 2 teaches. And that's the beginning. And we'll look at the balance of it tonight. Great to be with you this morning. And Lord bless you and keep you this day. Have a great day. Bye-bye.